Darkness enveloped the Tsukinami mansion, a place where Yui never thought she would be imprisoned. She didn't know how she got here, only that she was no longer free. Day after day she longed for freedom. Day after day she longed to see everyone again. Day after day and continued day after day. She wanted to escape from this place even if it cost her dearly. Being treated worse than animals, being used for entertainment, and sometimes she felt that this life was dirtier and more painful than death. But deep in her heart, she still kept her holiness and kindness. She was still caring and gentle even when she was brutally tortured, even when her body was covered with whip marks, chain marks on her beautiful white skin. Once again she tried to escape from the Tsukinami mansion, but was caught by Carla. She was caught and forced against the wall by him. His brutality might have scared her, but it didn't change her will. She painfully stood up, looking up at him without a word of confession that he really wanted to know. He narrowed his eyes at her and suffocated her. Slowly lifting her up with his superior strength, he grabbed her hand and pressed her hard against the wall. Her strength was unbearable, but she still couldn't faint. She couldn't know what he would do when she fainted. She screamed loudly because of the pain he caused. His fangs dug deep into her neck. It made her ache. Her body felt like it was on fire and her whole body stiffened. His hand tightened around her neck and pressed her hard against the wall. Her face was pale with pain. Her hand tried to remove his strong arm with her weak strength, but it seemed like he was upset inside. His eyebrows furrowed. He removed his hand from her neck and pushed her to the ground. He said, and then tightened his grip on her, making her scream in indescribable pain. She was pressed down on the ground. The muddy puddles on her body and face made her look pathetic now. Carla looked at her, a poor and pitiful human girl who didn't have the strength to fight against a powerful and noble first blood, yet she dared to run away from here without permission. He was a bit cruel. Looking at the things around here, he could lower her again. He stomped his feet hard and splashed the water on the ground. The muddy ponds on her. She covered her face and mouth with her hands. Her eyes were sad. Yui was hesitating, her hands placed on her chest, and she was breathing heavily. But then she swallowed her saliva. She had to do it. She had no other choice, and she had no reason to argue with him. She obediently bent down and licked his muddy shoe. She closed her eyes because she didn't want to look at herself right now. Carla angrily hit a place he hadn't planned on. It was the flat wall in front of him. There was a big hole in the wall, and pieces of the wall fell down, dirtying Yui's hair. He squinted at her and kicked mud at her again and again. Carla suddenly hit her chest. She hugged her chest and lay down because of the pain. Sometimes when he did that, she was on the verge of life and death. Because the wound from the day before was still there, she had a hard time sitting up. Her face was wrinkled, her mouth kept moaning. His cold eyes glanced at her and he spoke to her in a slightly hoarse voice. Yui lay there and fainted. Her breathing was extremely weak. Her face was pale and her body was thin since she was captured and brought to the First Blood Mansion. Carla looked at her expressionlessly and then turned away. He only ordered the servants to throw her into the dungeon and lock her up. The servants followed Carla's orders and brought her into the cold and dirty dungeon, a place that was more disgusting than human vomit. Seeing that she didn't move, the servants reached out and touched her body and found that she was in an unstable state. Her warmth was gradually decreasing, and she kept turning her head from side to side, looking like she was in pain. Some of them rushed up to the great hall and bowed when they saw Carla sitting on the throne. The servants all retreated, leaving Carla alone in that large but lonely room. He closed his eyes and sighed. Honestly, he was fed up with capturing her now. But for the sake of the plan, he had to let her live, otherwise he would have killed her. The next day, Yui woke up in a cold prison cell, her body aching and weak, as if she had just gone through a relentless battle. Everything around her was quiet, but Carla's words still echoed in her head. Humans are only worthy of kneeling at the feet of noble blood. She wondered if she could survive these trials, but deep inside, the flame of hope was still burning. A strange noise came from the prison door. Footsteps were light, but determined, and then, the prison door suddenly opened. A figure entered, a figure that did not resemble the servants or Carla, but exuded a completely different aura. Yui tried to sit up, but her vision blurred from dizziness. Yui whispered to ask who it was, but before she could hear a reply, the door slammed shut again.